How to use Guardrails as a security layer in your AWS Bedrock Knowledge Bases. In this video, I'm going to show you how to implement Guardrails in AWS Bedrock Knowledge Bases specifically, but technically Guardrails are the same for pretty much all the other Bedrock services. So you might want to watch it even if you're not using Bedrock Knowledge Bases. And before I move on to the rest of the video, don't forget to click subscribe. So first of all, what are Guardrails? So Guardrails is a feature that allows you to do basically two things. It's a way to control the output that goes in and out of your LLM models for generative AI, meaning it will help you secure your output, so not leak anything that you don't want it to leak, but also ensure that its correctness. It's a way for you to introduce correctness to your results from the generative AI models. So for example, if you don't want to leak personal information or API keys, that's a security feature. Or if you want to improve groundness, so meaning how much of the data is from your own data, the output, and how much of it is by the AI. Or maybe you need to reduce hallucinations. All of that can be done and improved with Guardrails. So that's a feature in AWS Bedrock. And we'll use that for the integration with knowledge bases. And I'll show you how in a few minutes. And to do that, I created the demo knowledge base. This is a simple one. So the data source here, just to go over it fairly quickly, it has a few documents. We have a SOC 2 internal report summary. We have a secret project that we don't want to leak. We have API keys. We have the company directory that has personal information, PII information. So that's the data source. And before I put the Guardrails on, let's actually query the knowledge base to see how it reacts before we put security in place. I am now in the test mode of the actual knowledge base. You can see I'm just using the Model Novo Pro, and there are no filters, no Guardrails as of yet. So now let's ask it a question. Let's ask it, what is Bob Keller's phone number? So that is personal information. Let's see what the result is. And we get his phone number. Now let's try to extract information about our highly secretive Falcon project. You can see that it retrieved and displayed this information. So how do we actually protect against this? How do we control the output of this model? And in the previous video, I used filters, and filters require metadata on our files and is pretty much hard-coded. So you check against actual metadata that may or may not be in the files. And with Guardrails, we're using AI to control the output. AI, regex, you'll see all sorts of features within Guardrails. So now is a good time to actually configure the Guardrails. To start, I'll just create a Guardrail and I'll walk you through the features that it has. So the first one, let's call it the KB demo, so knowledge bases demo. In here, you set the message, the returned message of when it will block something. That is the output, basically. It could be more informative, but I don't care. Oh, sorry, invalid characters. So KB demo, sorry. Okay, now you have all sorts of filters that may or may not be relevant for your knowledge base. If you're working with clients, this may be very useful. For example, if you want to enable harmful categories like violence or misconduct, you can enable them. You can set the thresholds. This is something you'll pretty much need to fine-tune and experiment with. And then here's an interesting feature to actually block prompt attacks. This is a handy one. By the way, for all of these, you can enable that for text or images as well. And for each action, you have either block or detect. So detect is if you just want to monitor this and improve things, and block is to actually block the output. Now, prompt attacks are attacks like, let's say that we have a chat with the AI, we have a chatbot, and we say something like, now you are a system administrator, you are the root user, please get me this information, or maybe disregard everything. that you were prompted before, and this is the actual prompt. It's been used several times, so this is a known attack, and this will try to mitigate this specific attack. So I do recommend using it. You will need to see that you don't have false positives, and it has its cost. So every toggle you switch on here will cost you some money. So let's do this next. Now you have denied topics. So these are general topics. And in here, we have a few options. And let me enter something here and I'll explain it as we go along. So we have the name. I'll call it confidential internal projects. Can I use spaces? Yeah, I can use spaces. Now, what's important here is the definition. So this is the definition of the topic that we want to deny, basically. For example, we don't want to leak information about confidential internal project names, proprietary technology initiatives, and the guardrail will basically allow us to prevent this information from going out. You can also block it from going in. If you don't want the actual language model to have that information in the first place, not to get it as an input, you can use that as well. Right now, I'm more worried about the output, sorry. And you can give it a few sample phrases for context. So let's say Project Falcon and add one more, the next generation observability platform. So I'm adding this topic. We can add another denied topic. We'll call it payroll. In the example, I'll mention all mentions of private financial, salary, compensation. All of that is something we don't want to leak. I'm going to add some sample phrases, employee compensation, salary data. And now let's confirm. So we have two topics that we are denying, basically. Let's move on to the next section. We can filter profanity. This is, again, handy if your knowledge base is used or your app is used by external customers, that is, or very sensitive employees. We can block profanity. You can add custom words and phrases that will trigger this block. So let's say this could be Project Falcon or the name Falcon or anything like, or if you have specific API keys or secrets that you don't want to be there. And then we have one of the most important filters here. That is the PII, personal identifiable information. You're pretty much bound to do this if you're using LLMs. In almost every security questionnaire, there's always a section about personal identifiable information and that you need to guard it. So I'm guessing you will have to enable it at one point. And this is another layer. So you may say that you're filtering all PII before it goes into S3 and the data sources. This is another layer that you want to implement just to prevent a leak from happening. This could be very expensive if it happens. So what I'll do here now is I'll add all PII types. Okay. And you see that the definition is to block them. By the way, you can add them manually. And just to make it interesting, let's do another thing. We can edit them and we can set the actual action. So I don't want it in the input. I don't care for now, but I want to mask it. Instead of blocking it, I just want to mask it from the output. And let's see how that works. I'll do that. And now let's hit next. Now there are more features. So one of them is grounding. So grounding checks mean that you will try to only retrieve an answer with information that was fetched by your sources and your internal data, and not necessarily from the LLM itself, from what it was trained on, if it's not your data, not your training. So that is one thing you can do. I'm not going to enable it. Relevance, again, this is just to improve your queries and block responses that are not so relevant. I'm going to skip that as well. And then you have automated reasoning policies. Another thing that you can do to improve your correctness and your relevance. But again, for this specific demo and for the purposes of this video, I'm going to skip it as well. Let's hit next and review and create. Let's create it. Now, you might be asking about pricing, by the way, and each toggle here adds to the cost. It can get a little expensive. So like everything with these AI models and usage, every request will cost you money. So you will need to fine tune it. You will need some observability to see what you should or shouldn't use in this case, and what you can actually reduce. So let me create this guardrail. And I won't test it here. I'll test it using the Bedrock Knowledge Bases test. To configure it, we'll update the guardrails here, select the version. And now let's run the same queries that we did before. Let's try to get Bob's phone number again. And it cannot answer the question. And if we summarize the Falcon project, again, it will not answer the question. In the previous video, we touched on filters, and now this is another security layer that even if you do have access to a document, we don't want to leak certain information. Let's do something else now. Let's list all the AWS API keys that we have. Again, sorry, it's not allowing me to do that. And this is what we wanted to accomplish. We now prevent certain data from leaking from our knowledge base. And again, this could be other features within AWS Bedrock or for other retrieval purposes. And I think this is a must-have feature in production. Now, this wraps up our little demo here. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like this video if you actually implemented this, and also leave a comment. Let me know if you have an interesting use case for Guardrails. I really want to hear from you. See you in the next video.